Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 11,000 and Counting. I am your host, Alec Gospel, and to my virtual left is Matthew Watson, your lovable co-host of the show. Uh, so let's get right to the loss counter. It is 11,195. And on today's special Festivus in April episode of the show, we will be airing our grievances. I'm going to pass it right to Matthew Watson, who told me he wanted to rant. So rant he shall.
You know, I may look calm and collected on this Zoom call, but on the inside, I am raging. Watching the way that we lost today was just pathetic, in my opinion. Um, I am so frustrated with some of the stars on this team. I'm like, for everything the Phillies are doing right, they're doing two things wrong. They keep taking one step forward, two steps back. They are 4-8, which I think is atrocious, despite the injuries. I don't think you could blame injuries for the way that they're playing because the Phillies are really upsetting me with how they're just not playing the game of baseball properly. If you told me they'd be 4-8 right now because they were just getting beat by teams who are playing better baseball, then you know what? Fine, so be it. But they're not playing clean baseball. The amount of errors, the amount of base running mistakes, starting pitching can't get out of the fifth inning. We're having to use our bullpen for 4+ innings every night. Rob Thompson keeps using the wrong guys in the wrong situations. I love Rob Thompson, but what he has shown in the first 12 games, I'm very disappointed. Like his bullpen usage has not been as crisp as it was last year. And I know you got to get guys some innings, and I know you got to stretch some guys' arms out and stuff. But I just keep feeling like he's using the wrong guys in the wrong spots. Why is Craig Kimbrell still being put in the quote unquote closer role? He's cooked. He should be a sixth inning guy, not a closer. I can't with Kimbrell right now. And then I mean, just like in the 10th inning today, the Marlins go ahead and they take that lead. So be it, right? There's the ghost runner, they bring him home. Okay. The Phillies have Mundo Sosa starting on second base with Christian Pache to lead off the inning. Why is Pache not bunting?
I don't know why he didn't bunt. That one made me mad. I was listening on the radio on my drive home. I'm like, wait, why aren't we getting him to third? What's going on here?
You could have put the entire Marlins defense 3 feet in front of home plate, and I still would want Pache to bunt there. I wouldn't want him to swing. Lay down the bunt. Nobody cares if he gets thrown out at first. You
Nobody
sacrifice the
cares if we
runner to
go to the
third.
11th. We just don't
Exactly.
want to lose.
You tie the game and then try and play for the win after that. If you bunt him over, it's Sosa. He's quick, right? He will get to third base, assuming it's a half decent bunt. Now you have one out and a runner at third, and you have two opportunities to bring him home, which you have Bryson Stott, who's been the best hitter on the team 12 games of the season, and you have Trey Turner, who, despite he's struggling right now, I'm not going to get on Turner because he's still a little bit better than everybody else has been in terms of the guys who are struggling. But Turner has had a really bad 3 or 4 days. And again, Stott and Turner, they didn't bring him home from second, but it's a completely different approach at the plate if there's a guy at third versus a guy at second. It was just so frustrating to watch. And then as soon as Pache got out, which another thing about that is he swings at the first pitch. Too many times the Phillies are going up there and just swinging at the first pitch. Trey Turner's been doing it a lot. JT Realmuto's been doing it a lot. And Christian Pache did it in the 10th inning. Why are we swinging at the first pitch? Work a count. The Phillies
Well,
are
it,
one of
it
the
made
worst
no
teams in
sense
walks.
today.
It
Uh,
made no sense.
they
Cabrera
they
walks a
faced
ton of guys,
He
and they
does, and they just wouldn't take a pitch for the first several innings of the game, and then they just didn't have a hit for the last what 5 innings of the game, or one hit in the last 5 innings.
like
Like that's
it's literally
ridiculous.
baseball. You know when a guy doesn't have control, you don't swing until you get a strike. Last night in the game, Realmuto comes up with runners at first and second with one out. It's a 4-3 game at that, or it's a 5-3 game at that point. Phillies are trailing, but you know what? Two runners on. I believe they were both walks, and I believe it was Marsh and Castellanos, if I remember correctly. And JT comes up and he swings first pitch and he grounds into a double play to end the inning. After the two previous guys who had gotten on base, it was actually Schwarber, not Castellanos. After the two previous guys had walked, why are you not seeing more than one pitch? Even if it was right down the middle, you take the strike and you go to the next pitch and see what he throws. You work a count. Like a few years ago, the Phillies refused to swing at, early pitches in the zone because they were too worried about working counts. I feel like they've gone the complete flip side. They're swinging way too early in counts, and they're not allowing themselves to get on base via the walk. They're one of the lowest. Like they have some of the they are like towards the bottom in terms of walks. 12 games in the season. It is so frustrating. They have lost a couple games in the last few days that they should have won. They should have won today. They shouldn't have lost last night. The decision,
I'll give the Marlins last night with someone hitting the cycle. So I
true,
concede that.
and I could as well, but there were so many opportunities for them to keep that close. Thompson left Aaron Nola out far too long again, to the point where it kind of got out of hand. The Phillies fought back thanks to a really great at bat by Bryson Stott to bring in 2 runners. They had it close again, and then the bullpen just gave the lead away again. They had the Marlins on their heels, but they didn't go for the knockout punch. And then on Sunday, the base running mistakes, I was infuriated. Like I have seen little league teams run the bases better. I don't know what Schwarber was doing when he blew through the stop sign. He was safe at home because the ball hit him in the back or the helmet or whatever. And then Castellanos, I don't know what he was doing running home. When he was out by 11 steps. Um,
Yeah, these are things that are all fun in games when you have a team that's going well and you're scoring enough runs to win a game. But it's another thing when you are now 4-8 on the season. You know, there there's been moments like earlier in the season, well, it's still early, but when it's like, all right, they'll turn around from the bad start. Oh, look, they just scored all these runs. Oh, they're gonna win this game. But I mean, that was kind of funny that he got thrown out there. Oh well, he was being aggressive, but that one was kind of stupid anyway. Whatever. But now it's just getting progressively added on top of each other and just really annoying.
And it's not just a one game instance where, oh, we just had a really bad night. No, it's happened throughout the season. Just there's been like the Phillies have not played fundamental baseball through 12 games. And if they had, they'd be at least 500 right now, in my opinion. And it's really frustrating because if we were losing because the other team was better, and because we were down a few guys with injuries, you know what? That's fine. I could deal with that. Losing Hoskins, losing Hall, losing Suarez to start the season. I could be okay with that if the other team is just simply playing better baseball. But when you're giving away outs on the base paths, when your starters just can't go deep in the games, that all falls back on coaching. I don't think Rob Thompson had them ready to start on opening day. And I think opening day was a great kind of microcosm of the season so far because they get up early on DeGrom and you can see they're confident in their swings and you see all this mojo going like, yeah, we're the National League champs. We're back. And then the switch flipped and they were caught on their heels and it just looked like they weren't ready to fight back. They got punched and they weren't ready to fight back. And I just feel like since then, the Phillies have just been playing this overly aggressive, non-fundamental, kind of cowardly baseball, in my opinion. I think they really need to clean this up when they get on the road here. They have a great opportunity. Like the first half of the season was supposed to be the easy part. They knew they weren't going to have Bryce, and I'm talking like heading into spring training. You know you don't have Bryce, but your first half of the schedule is relatively easy. If you can pretty much stay afloat, be a few games over 500 for when Bryce gets back, you go into the second half against a much harder schedule and you compete and you go to the playoffs. Harper is, I mean, going to be back sooner than we all expected, which we could talk about. But as of right now, this team is losing to the weaker teams. They've lost 3 series to non-playoff teams from last year. What are you going to do when you run into the Mets, when you run into the Braves, when you run into the Padres, the Dodgers, like the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the teams you have to beat in order to make the playoffs when you can't beat the Marlins, when you can't sweep the Reds when they handed it to you on a silver platter, when you can't even win one game against the Rangers, who I think are a much improved club, but to get swept to start the season was just unacceptable. And it's been so frustrating because I know they're better than this. They know they're better than this, but they're not playing like they're better than this. And it's just getting really hard to watch some of these close games.
See, it's funny because usually I'm the more emotional out of the two of us, yet Matt seems to be the one that's really on the Phils right now. Uh, I am taking a cooler head approach because we don't even have Ranger Suarez in the starting rotation yet. Granted, his replacement has been the best starter for the Phillies so far, Matt Strom. Like, this is a guy who had fully transitioned to a reliever and now has been reverted back to a starter and somehow revitalized his career. I I'm confused on that point. But the Phils should really be like 7-5 right now. I don't think losing the first two series against the much improved Rangers team who are desperate to make the playoffs, and then losing two out of three in New York would have been out of the question. Uh, but opening day, that meltdown was unacceptable. That was the first time the Rangers had scored 9 runs in an inning since I believe the end of 2017. That's a 5-year event that just happened on opening day. That's ridiculous. Can't have that. Um, and then of course, yeah, they should have swept the Reds. They absolutely should have swept the Reds. The Reds bullpen is a joke. They have some great young starters. So Lodolo, who's a lefty, I mean, lefties are eating the Phillies alive right now. You looked at Puck today. For the Marlins, strong lefty that they traded JJ Bleday for from the A's. He really cut into the Phillies, and it's been these lefties because of how the lineup's been constructed. The absence of Rhys Hoskins has kind of hurt in the lefty department. Cody Clemens is a black hole. Like you see him up at the plate, he's overmatched almost every single time. He got his first hit today, but Christian Pache is hitting higher than he is. You can't have that out of first base production wise. First base is at least a major league average hitter. You cannot have anything worse than at least a major league average hitter. Or the loss of Hall hurts there a lot,
Mhm.
and the injuries have built up, but they need to get the act together. I don't know whether Topper is overthinking things and still thinking he's in the playoffs, thinking that he has to pull these magic strings to get the upset, but I it just feels out of place, some of these moves. Um,
I
and the
mean,
base running mistakes too. It feels like this team's trying to force like, oh, they're underdogs and we gotta really try our hardest and try to sneak in there and get every run we can. Sure, but you're better than half of these teams you're playing right now.
but to go to your Cody Clemens point, and I'll even like in Christian Pache, you're gonna sit here and tell me that Scott Kingery's not better than both of them?
You're
Like,
gonna tell me that Darren Ruff wouldn't have been a better option? I
honestly,
I will
you're
die on
right.
that hill.
No, you're right. I laughed at that
He signed
idea.
a minor league contract with the Giants.
He did, which was smart for him because that's where he had his success when he returned. To be fair, we talked about that before the Hall injury. Um, but no, literally, it's been so bad. I don't know why we grabbed Pache. Like the A's couldn't get rid of him faster, and it's the A's.
I'm all right with picking up Pache. Like if this roster is constructed the way it's supposed to be constructed, he's a great defensive replacement who used to be a top prospect, who is still only 24 years old, that maybe he's a good fringe piece. But right now, they have gaping holes because of injury. Of course, today, now we're finding out Bryce Harper's trying to learn first base,
Shout out Sean
which,
Nestor.
yeah, Sean, wherever you are, God bless. Um, he's not dead. I swear, folks. He just decided that he's like, oh, this could be something, and reported that Bryce Harper could be learning first base before anyone else had the thought. So that's some great inside edge from your Philly Sports Network Phillies team. That's what we do here, and we'll be here for the remainder of the season. So follow us, all of us. Anyway, I mean, I'm excited to see if he can learn first base because he'd be a huge help. But when could he realistically even play the field? Probably not till after uh Derek Hall comes back, or he's just not going to be able to throw. I I don't know. Some Scott Hatterberg nonsense going on here.
No, it's quite literally Sky Hat. And look, I kind of just looked at it at first as Harper's just trying to do some baseball stuff while he's like rehabbing because he misses the game. If he wants to try and learn to play first base, God bless him. I don't think he could be worse than the first base defense we've had for the last couple of years. So it's worth a shot, and it'll extend his career if we're being completely honest by him not having to play the outfield, taking it easy at first base. It'll take less stress on off of his arm. He won't be sliding and diving like he was in the outfield, potentially running on the walls, stuff like that. So I think it could be a little bit of a career extender. But
You know he's still gonna dive,
Yeah, I know he's still
all
going to
the
be a little
time at first
reckless,
base.
but it's a less of an opportunity.
He's gonna dive into the net. I just know it.
Yeah, I'm taking that at minus 300. I'm throwing good money on that. But it's just this team has gotten exploited. Like their depth has been exploited very early in the season. Losing Hall and losing Hoskins within like a week and a half of each other has just been really a lot. But at the same time, our offense has been fantastic in terms of guys are producing at the plate. But the issue is they're not producing when runners are in scoring position.
No, they produced what? 3 out of 20 opportunities or 3 out of 21 in the last 2 games of this series against the Marlins. Something ridiculous like that. We can't do that.
We
And
have
that's not how
we've
you
had like
win
8 hits
games.
every game. Like
And you have to remember, this team is not super power heavy right now. This is a line drives and singles team right now that will occasionally pop a homer for a good moment. Castellanos, I want to give a credit to Castellanos because people were so hard on him, yet he is now one of the lead leaguers in doubles right now. Like, he has been pretty solid offensively. Unlike Kyle Schwarber, who is hitting under 200 and I think has what, one home run?
I believe he actually has 3.
Oh, does he have three?
Yeah, but I believe they've all been solos, and I believe that
See, that's how forgettable it's been. It, like, you need more production out of Schwarber, especially if now you're going to have him in the three hole. Honestly, switch him and Bohm in the lineup.
I put
Go,
out
go Stott, Turner, Bohm.
I put out like a mock lineup. I was half joking when I made it, but I also half wasn't. I said Stott, Marsh, Bohm, Castellanos would be your top 4 because those have been the 4 best hitters on this team to start the year.
Castellanos is hitting 295.
Like
That's better
it's
than
fantastic.
anybody else could have hoped for to start the season for him.
Dude, Brandon Marsh's OPS is 1.28. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he
no.
he's on
So
fire.
meanwhile, Realmuto's struggling, but this is early season Realmuto that we basically saw last year.
And the same with Schwarber. But like these are the guys without Reese and without Bryce in the lineup, you have to rely on these guys. And like they went off and played at the World Baseball Classic. That was great. It was good seeing our guys represent us out there. But you can't start the season off this slow. Like you just can't. I mean, Turner has been a little frustrating in my opinion. I mean, he's still hitting 321, but he's
Yeah,
just coming up small in some RBI opportunities, which I was hoping for him to be kind of the one guy who's consistent enough there. Um, but at least he's still hitting for average right now. Like JT and Schwarber they're just killing us. Whether they're hitting 2-3, they were hitting 3-5 today. Like they're really hurting us right now. And it's the bottom of the lineup who's been carrying us. Marsh, Bohm, Stott. Like, and I'll say this: we talked about it last year when we did podcast during the playoffs about how Stott would be a great leadoff hitter. He has to stay there. I don't care if a lefty is starting that day. Stott should be the leadoff hitter regardless. I know,
it makes sense. He's hitting 420 to
yeah,
start the season with a 12-game hitting streak.
he's got 9 games with multi hits. Like I don't care if it's a lefty. Like I
He's
know,
one of 5 players since the year 2000 to start the season with 9 multi-hit games in the first 12.
yeah, and he broke the record that was tied by
The
two
worst
Phillies
play,
legends.
the worst player in that span, like comparatively, that you could give him some credit for is
Mm.
Darren Ernstad, which I would take for a career for Bryson Stott offensively. That'd be fine.
Bryson Stott's winning the Silver Slugger this year.
Give me Bryson Stott to start second base for the NL squad at the All-Star game.
You know, a lot of people were calling Scott Kingery the next Chase Utley back in the day. I don't know, man. Maybe that's Bryson Stott.
And listen,
You know,
but uh, it's frustrating. It just is. And we have Jay Cave who's hitting 174 out in left field pretty much every day because of the
yeah.
lack of outfield depth. And there's really no help on the way for position players. There's help on the way for pitching. The Phillies have some good pitching prospects. A little banged up at the moment, but there's no. It's just frustrating.
Well, here's the
I'm
thing with that is that the pitching depth is going to come in the former Ranger Suarez, right? We're probably
Yeah, that
about
too.
3 weeks out from Ranger coming back to the rotation, give or take, right? So who's he going to replace in the rotation? He's going to replace Strom.
Well,
Strom has been the best starter.
I think they'll piggyback to start because
Probably
there's
to
no way
start,
Ranger's gonna pitch more than 3 innings in his first appearance back. Like
probably.
maybe four, but I'd say he's at a 70 pitch limit or something like that because he's
Yeah,
gonna have to build back strength.
which is
But
true.
anyway, so you can piggyback him and Strom. Be kind of funny if they just combine for one game.
I wanted him to start piggybacking Aaron freaking Nola, like who just uh,
I I know Nola can be frustrating, but
he has a shtick and he sticks to it almost every game. It's start
when
really
he
hot,
gets
get a
going
home run.
good, he gets going real good.
He
You
does.
know,
But
it,
when like that's so far, it's like Reese Hoskins in a sense,
they
where
just need to have someone start warming in the fifth inning when Nola's pitching, and if two runners get it on in a row, that's it.
but this guy's supposed to be your ace.
He is, and it's frustrating. But when he gets rolling in the middle of the season, when he's down the stretch in July and August, he's been very good. But you do have to watch out for that danger inning. And I think Topper just needs to get someone stretching, get someone just in case in that fifth, sixth inning if Nola goes out to pitch. You have to be ready for back-to-back base runners and be like, all right, that's it. But that could backfire too. Like
Yeah,
that is not a guarantee. And you can guarantee one thing: Topper will get criticism for pulling Nola too early. But there's
yeah.
no good answer right now.
It's just play better. It's quite simply play better. That that's it. Like there's no you got to do this. You got to just go out there and play. A guy who's gone out there and played, Andrew Bellotti, who is pitching practically every game this season.
Yeah.
He gave up his first runs the other night, but he's been fantastic for this team. And there's talks he wasn't even going to make the roster
Uh,
coming out of spring training.
yeah. Well, but okay. Let's look at the schedule here. But also, yeah, shout out to Bilotti. He seems like he wants that ball every day. Good for him. But also, I don't have that much confidence to give Bilotti the ball every day. So 4 games in Cincinnati, 3 games in Chicago against the White Sox, and then 4 games at home against the Rockies. The Phillies have to win each of these series, at least. So I'm talking about 8-3 at the worst.
I was thinking 7-4 in my head. I like eight and
Oh,
three.
that means they have to split one of the series against the Rockies or the Reds, or sweep one of the series and then lose a series.
Well, knowing us, we always struggle against the Rockies. But I will say, four
Rockies
games
at
against
home,
Cincinnati.
though,
Yeah, it's true. 4 games against Cincinnati, they should win three.
they should.
They
One of
should win
one
three.
of the pitching. See, the Reds starting pitching is actually good.
It's good. And Lodolo is
It's
going tomorrow.
oh no,
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're gonna do with that.
Maybe seeing him in back-to-back starts is going to help them. I I mean,
Give
he is
me
a
Bohm at
guy
first, Edmundo Sosa at third.
that should be the starting lineup every night. I don't know why we
It
keep
really should.
playing
I
these
do love
games,
me
but
some Edmundo Sosa, and I
I
don't care what hand the pitcher's throwing with.
correct. It's honestly the lefty righty matchup has gotten so overblown at this point. You should play your best nine every night and
Yeah.
start it
Well,
like
besides rest days.
right. But this isn't rest days. This is
No, this
trying to get
is
an advantage because of handedness, and it's not an advantage. It's just not working. Like sitting Brandon Marsh because a lefty is pitching is asinine in my opinion. But
but yeah,
they keep doing it.
this what is this? A 11 game stretch. They have to do well because then the last 6 games of the month are 3 games at home against the Mariners, and then they go to Houston for 3 games.
Yeah. This is what I mean. Like this was supposed to be the easy start before it got a little difficult. Going on the road to play the Astros and the Dodgers is That's the road trip you should go 1-5 on, not Texas and New York.
I again, I wouldn't have been upset if they went 2-4. Again, it was the opening day that really just left a sour taste in anybody's mouth or everybody's mouth.
True.
That's
The Sunday
that's the
night baseball
problem I
game
have.
though, they could have won that one. The offense just didn't
Yeah,
show.
it did. Well, they also had to run with CB Buckner. He cost them, I think, on umpire scorecards, it was plus 2.5 runs for the Rangers.
Yeah. No,
And
that
I
I
think a
mean,
lot of those calls came before the game got out of hand.
it's been pretty brutal, some of the umpiring to start the year. But you can't let that be an excuse.
No, you really can't. But again, it does hurt. When you layer it on top of everything else, it starts to just eat at you.
Hmm.
And some more than others, I still think they will turn it around. They have to. Like, this team is built too well not to. I want to acknowledge Gregory Soto as one guy. And I know they trade away some depth that'd be helpful right now, but Soto has really done well his last three appearances. The funniest thing, though, he got the loss today.
Yeah, I hate the way that works.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He got Luis Ariz to strike out. Like, a guy who has killed the Phillies this series. He got him to strike out.
The guy who's hitting over 500 for the season.
And then I wasn't watching, but were you? I was listening, but it sounded like they had Bohm positioned where there was no way he could get to this ball that went right down the line that Kimbrel allowed, but it wasn't really hard hit.
It was weird because Bone was shifted and the ball kind of got hit in a perfect spot. Had he been playing traditionally in his normal spot, it's probably an easy play and they're out of the jam kind of
And
thing.
it, and
But
it wasn't hard hit.
I wouldn't, yeah, it wasn't like rocketed or anything like
Gotcha.
that. I mean,
Because I that's what it sounded like. It sounded like Kimbrel did well, and apparently he did well last night as well when he pitched. So I don't think Kimbrel's cooked like you said. Um, you know,
he doesn't have that closer stuff anymore. Like,
yeah, but so the first couple of games this season, he really had trouble with the slider. But it sounded like his slider's starting to come along now. And as long as he can not just be fastball only when he's throwing 95, that's what they need. Although it sounded like he was throwing harder last night and maybe tonight. I, again, wasn't watching, I was listening for the most part. So it's hard to actually see.
yeah, I wasn't really following his velocity. I was too stressed about the fact that we
Yeah.
were about to blow this game because I didn't have any faith in Kimbrel at that spot. Well, one thing I'll say about that too is I like the idea of using Soto in the ninth. Guy's an all-star closer. He's been in that spot before, and he's coming off a great year. I liked him in that spot, and I liked bringing him back out to face Luis Ariz. But I didn't like earlier in the game, when Zach Wheeler got into a jam. It was I believe, the top of the fifth,
I
and
believe so as well, yes.
Sir Anthony Dominguez started to warm up there.
Yeah, a guy who has had some trouble throwing strikes early in the season. I didn't understand that either. I started to get scared because I was like, oh no, what if Wheeler walks in a run here and then suddenly Sir Anthony has to throw a strike? Like,
Yep,
that was what worried me.
I was not like I'm glad Wheeler got out of the jam, because he was really struggling to throw strikes there. I mean, I believe it was actually Arise again who made the last out, and he hit a ball hard. It was just Marsh was able to get to it. But like Topper will, I don't know why he'll go to Dominguez in the fifth there when Dominguez has been struggling. You should give him a clean inning if you want to use him instead
So,
of going to a Brogdon or a Bellotti or somebody like that, or maybe even Kimbrel in that spot and saving Dominguez for a clean inning in the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth. Because then you go to Alvarado, who has a dominant inning, but then you bring him back out and he lets up the home run, which, I mean, he had a hitless streak going, a really nice strikeout streak going. So I could understand why Topper wanted to leave him out to see if he can get another out or two. Didn't work. I'm not going to really blame him on that one. But it's just like, it's frustrating that, because that's when he brought Dominguez in after. Why not just give Dominguez the start of the inning and let him work through some of the issues he's having?
I don't know, man. It's the one thing that I was kind of frustrated with was I don't know why we needed to go Alvarado for a second inning already. Like, especially since Soto had been pitching so well, it felt weird to have him already try to wrap around an inning. I know he's been impressive, and he became the first pitcher, I forget if it's in National League history or in MLB history, to strike out 11 straight guys, which is wild. Alvarado's been literally one of the best relievers since, what, June of last year?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, the turnaround's been awesome.
it has been. So the bullpen management has been a little suspect. Again, I do think Topper needs to settle down. He just got to go back to basics. Um, the one thing I am a little bit worried about is since the Phillies went through all this level of success, is it Topper's management style isn't fitting the same way that it did? Because we're talking about going from Joe Girardi, who was very intense, is always what we heard, to someone like Topper, who apparently was a little bit less stress. You know, he was letting these guys do what they need to, um, but seemed to manage them very well last year. I don't want to say this early on that it's that he needs to change up the management style a little bit, but it's almost looking like there needs to be a little bit more of a firm hand. Not overreaching and being intense like we're saying Girardi is, but maybe just Topper to like be like, guys, it's time to buckle down. Rough start. We've got this patch of games coming up that we should win. Let's go out there. We're just gonna stride by stride with this. Don't overdo things. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because Topper does seem like the laid back. It's very like hot and cold, right? Girardi's so intense and in your face. And Topper's very laid back and more of a player manager. I
Yeah, like Topper should have got tossed in that CB Buckner game.
I agree. I think that would have been a great spot for him to go out there and just kind of try and rile up the team. Which
Also,
is
Castellanos is back in
yes,
terms of intensity.
that was
We need to
awesome.
address that. Honestly, I know he had those great defensive moments, but him dancing off the line while Alexis Diaz is struggling to throw a strike and he's halfway to home plate, that was one of the best things I have seen in a while. I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, and then he gets tossed like 2 games later because they're up 13 runs and he gets rung up on a bad call. And all he does is just point in the dirt where the pitch was. I loved it. It's the Castellanos we paid for.
Yeah, and he was just like, really? Okay. I'm not. He knew it wasn't even worth it to make a scene. He was just like, "This is hilarious." Okay, bye.
Literally. No, it was awesome. I love this. I love that we're getting this Castellanos because I mean, like you said
We
earlier,
need cocky
we
Castellanos.
needed this. Like we needed an edge on this team, especially without Bryce right now. I love it personally, and I love the way that we got in Alexis Diaz's head. I don't know why people keep trying to make him out to be a better pitcher than he is. I've seen a lot of people try and like crown him as like the next up and coming guy, and I really don't see it from him. I think it's just because his last name's Diaz and he's related to Edwin that people are trying to push that a little bit. I really don't think he's that good, but we absolutely got in his head. Castellanos was like 3 steps from home plate, walking down the line, clapping.
They also put him in for that was his second inning of
It
work.
was a second
I
inning
think
of work.
that was the problem because he was excellent the inning before and then just had nothing.
He
Like
was
the
he's
stuff
also
was
bad in the
there,
World
but
Baseball
no,
Classic too, which I'm
was he?
basing a little bit off of. Yeah, like he
I
blew up a
didn't.
couple times.
That was kind of spring training, so that's not a big deal. But I still think he will be good, but he needs something to play for as well.
Yeah. One thing I want to throw out there: Dalton Guthrie's hitting 370 with a 1115 OPS in AAA right now. I would take that over Pache. I would take that over Clemens.
Simone Muzziotti, excuse me, has also started his season well in AAA, and it's sounding like maybe he is surpassing talent evaluators' projections for him. Do you have those stats there in front of you for AAA at all?
Yes, I have the Iron Pigs right up here.
Cool, because I am 90% sure he has been one of their best hitters to start the season.
Yeah, 294 average, 726 OPS. He does have two doubles and a triple in his 8 games, 10 hits. So he's been very impressive. Does not have a home run, but he's not a big pop guy, so can't really
No,
fault him there. But
he did hit a
yeah,
ball 107 miles an hour the other day for that one of those doubles.
which is sweet. He does have two stolen bases. He's been caught stealing twice.
Yeah.
But hey, I'll take a couple bags. And I don't know. He's definitely hitting well.
Who
He's
is
just,
playing first base for AAA?
I believe that would be Jim Haley, who we
Oh,
saw in
okay.
spring training. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not interested
No,
in
thank you.
Haley or his comments. So,
No. And then Vimel Machine, who we saw a little bit
ooh,
of in the World Baseball Classic and a little bit of spring training. He's hitting 303 with 974 OPS, couple
oh,
home runs. So he's having a nice little start to his AAA season as well.
good for him. But I also don't know what the Phillies are going to do with first base for the next 2 months. Besides just having Bohm play there and Sosa at third,
Why
because I
can't
think
I
that's
don't see
all
why
you
we
can
can't
do right now.
just keep Bowman
No,
first. I know people
it's
are like,
fine. It's
it's
fine.
fine. Like,
It's fine.
just let him play first base. Sosa's better at third. Bohm is probably better at first than he is at third. I don't care that he's not developing as a third baseman. Like, just
He has been very good as at third base for the most part this year.
he has. He's fine. Like, he's good now. He's confident in what he can do. He's not gonna let a bad mistake eat him up. He's fine. He's never gonna be a Gold Glover, so we don't need to keep quote unquote developing him. Like, why force development at third when you can have the best lineup out there, which is Bohm at first and Sosa at third? I don't get it.
I still think he needs to play at least some at third. Because I don't think he should just move to first and that be the end all, because I think he has developed into a decent third baseman.
Going
So,
forward, yeah. But I mean, as of right now, I don't want Cody Clemens taking at bats,
oh no, I don't.
and you don't really
It's
have another first baseman outside of that. So
no.
I would just rather Bohm stick it out at first base for like a month or two until you can maybe find a guy who's struggling with another club and you can give him a shot. Like, just I'm sure Dombrowski's like actively seeking replacements. He's not gonna like he's not gonna go out and trade for a player.
There's
Like,
got to be a AAA third baseman or first baseman somewhere that is interesting and not high cost either,
right. He's
because
he's probably
they
biding his time.
exist. For how many years did we talk about first baseman being a dime a dozen that could hit 20 home runs? Like, what happened to that? Where did they go? I want them back, and I want one for cheap.
I do as well. But you know what? If we can, like I said earlier, our offense isn't really the main issue right now. Despite, I mean, obviously you can improve a little bit, but our pitching has to go deep. So our starting pitching has to go deeper in games. We can't rely on the bullpen for 4 innings every night, especially because we don't have another off day um for until the 24th of April. So we're about to go play it 12 straight. And we've already played what? One, two, three, four, five, six. So it'll be 18 straight games at the conclusion of that stretch.
Yep, not
Having your
ideal.
bullpen go that hard every single night, you're gonna run into more issues than you would like. So, God forbid somebody gets hurt. Like, we cannot afford another injury right now. So if you're a
No,
starting pitcher and you're listening to this, Aaron Nola, how about we buckle up here and really focus on getting into the sixth inning, getting into the seventh inning, some of these starts, and trying to help. Like, just take one for the boys. Just take that initiative. Go out there and have a hell of a game.
I need a complete game. Shut. I don't care. Give me either a Wheeler or Nola complete game just to stimulate the whole thing, because we just need somebody to just go crazy. Somebody has to.
Yeah, we are waiting for that breakout performance where somebody sets the tone and
Or like eight
everybody
innings and
follows.
12 strikeouts from Wheeler. Something like that. I
It's gonna be Matt Strahm.
I there is a weird reality here that Ranger comes back and then like maybe we send Falter down because Strom's pitching so well. That's fine. But could you imagine if just I don't know, Matt Strom messes around and just is one of the better pitchers in baseball for no reason whatsoever?
If that happens, Caleb Cotham is getting a managing job somewhere.
Yeah. I don't
So
think he got an extension, did he?
don't believe so. So Aaron has a 7.04 ERA, by the way. Just gonna throw that
Yeah,
out
I
there.
I knew that. I just didn't want to
Yeah.
say it.
For a guy like honestly, maybe if the whole contract talks wasn't such a big thing before the season started, like I don't know what he was offered. I don't know what the Phillies gave him. I don't know what he's looking for. I don't know any of that information. But just going off a pure feel, I feel like the Phillies probably made him a good offer, and he said, "No, thank you. I'm gonna try and get
I
this
feel
number
like
in
they
free
made him a
agency."
fine offer, but not I wouldn't put a good offer. I'd say
I think it was a good offer.
they probably offered him like 125.
Nah, I definitely think they'd give him more than that. I was assuming they'd give him something in the 180 range, but he probably thinks he can get two in the free agent market because he is the class of the pitching free agency market. But
Well, we'll see if that holds up
yeah, we'll see if
or
that
if
holds
this is
up.
'09 Cole Hamels.
Seriously. So I don't know. I need better out of my ace, and I need better out of Zach Wheeler, who's
I'm just
ace
upset that
2.0.
any time this team does something that feels like it shifts the vibe or it shifts the momentum, it, the next night is just crushing. Like the walk off for the Reds felt great. We won 2 out of 3. Let's go for the sweep. Come back in the ninth inning for the Reds. Kill momentum. Dead. Marlins come in. We put 15 runs on the board, including what, 9 earned against Alcantara, the reigning NL Cy Young winner. And then the next night, we don't score much because it's a lefty starter, and their guy hits for the cycle. The Phillies still haven't had a cycle since like 2003 or 4.
Yeah, David Bell in 04.
Isn't he still managing the Reds?
He is.
That's just, it
Yeah.
hurts. But again, momentum dead. It, this team just seems like they're content on shooting themselves in the foot for a bit.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they just have to start playing clean baseball. They're good enough that if they they're playing average at best teams. They just play clean baseball. They're gonna take 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 more often than not. Stop shooting yourself in the foot and just play the game like you know how. Stop running in the outs. Start trusting yourself if you're a pitcher. Start trusting your stuff a little more. Stop blaming the pitch clock. It's a thing now. Just go out there and play your game, and I guarantee you we could be sitting in a week from now, we could be sitting at like 500 and be talking about, you know what, things are going a lot better. The vibes are a lot better. And hey, look, Ranger Suarez is pitching in a rehab assignment tomorrow. Like a week from now could be a lot better. And that's why baseball is so beautiful because just because you have a bad week doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
mean
think
anything.
about it. They could be 5-1 going in to try to win the series in uh, Chicago or even sweeping it. They're not a great team in Chicago, even though they have some great pieces,
And they just lost Tim Anderson. So Phillies are catching them at
which
a good time.
they are bad without Tim Anderson in their lineup. It is a significant difference. I don't have the specific numbers in front of me, but I think it's something around from like 10 games over 500 to 10 games under 500.
Sheesh.
Yeah, but
So
yeah, it's just we got 11 games that we should win the majority of. That's it.
that is it.
If they do that, they're back on. If they go the 8-3, like I think they should, that puts them at what? 12-11. One game over 500.
I'll take it. I will
I
take it.
I will say I'll make this prediction now. I think they'll finish the month at 15-14. They're going to lose the series at home against the Mariners. And then because dumb, dumb Phillies things, they're going to go to Houston and win that series.
I got them at 13 wins at the end of the month.
I think they're one over 500.
I guess that we shall see.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this episode of the podcast, not great for vibes, but great for just being disappointed.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay. Well, why don't we talk about the pitch clock for a second? Just what do we think about some of the rule changes so far? Because I do have some thoughts, most of them fairly positive.
Yeah, it's cool. I wish there was a little bit more time. Wish it was 18 seconds, not 15 seconds, and then 23 seconds with a guy on base. But that's just being nitpicky. As long as they don't have it for the playoffs, I'm good with it. Everything else I've been fairly satisfied with.
Yeah, I do think they need to add a few seconds to each at bat. I have just missed pitches because I was like, oh, that's right. We don't have that much time in between pitches anymore. So it's not a bad thing, but it's also just it's harder to follow the game and be like, oh, what just happened there? I missed it. That's one thing I've been kind of struggling with because I feel like I was able to like scroll through Twitter, get ready to send a tweet, watch the pitch, be like, all right, let's see if this happens, and then the thing happens, and then be like, all right, tweet. Like I'd be able to do little things like that. Now it's too quick to really do any of it.
Yeah, one thing I will say I've noticed is different being at the game Saturday. If you're gonna get food at all, do it before the game starts because you're going to miss a significant amount of time standing in line.
Yeah, that is an issue. Someone kind of talked to me about how like they were at a game, it's just like, yeah, it feels like how it was when I was younger. I remember games going this short when I was they were like 60. So they remember when games were 2.5 hours. Um, but they mentioned it's like, yeah, but the problem is they haven't changed how long you have to wait in the parking lot after. So
Very true.
you might actually be spending more total time trying to get a parking space and trying to leave said parking space than the entire game.
Yeah, man. I hated every second of it. Like going forward, and I was there on a sellout, but so it's gonna definitely change things a bit. But I will say, going forward, if it's a weekend game, I won't be getting out of my seat because I don't know when I'm gonna get back. I feel like maybe a weeknight be a little different,
Yeah, I feel
but
like if I'm gonna go to a game, I don't want to park down at the stadium because if I do that, I feel like I'll spend too much of my time just doing that. While I could just be like, all right, I'll park up somewhere else in Philly, then I'll take the subway and maybe grab something to eat afterwards. Or now there's time. The Marlins had a 2-hour game. No, under two
under two
hours.
hours, yeah,
That's what?
yeah. It's new, and we're gonna have to deal with it, just like the
No,
players gonna have to
and
deal with it.
it's been fine.
It's
It's
been
been
fine.
fine. It's been fine. It's been fine. But I'm just saying, I know it's killing dead time, but I do feel like there's a part of baseball that I am missing here. I don't know how to explain it. You know what it is? I almost said a bad word. Um, get rid of the ghost runner. Like today's game, the game went enough as is. Like why do we need to like not have this bonus baseball anymore? Like why can't we have the long games? I like the long games, but now you can have them every once in a while. Sprinkle it in. Sprinkle.
No, you're
And
right
not have to
because
worry about a guy randomly scoring from second.
yeah, no, it's like baseball is supposed. It's not supposed to be a sprint. Like
No.
baseball is supposed to be something you sit back and you enjoy for a few hours. It's not
And for a
basketball,
few
it's not
months.
football. Exactly. It's supposed to be something that I know, hey, for the next 3 hours, I'm going to sit back and watch this game. I don't want a game to be done in 2 hours and 20 minutes. I would,
I mean, especially I don't want a game done in 2 hours. What am
yeah,
I supposed to do?
that's like going to a basketball game. It ends so
I haven't
quickly.
been to an NBA game, so I couldn't tell you. I need to get to one. I do. I like the Sixers. I do watch them on the TV. I almost said the TV.
Yeah,
Ooh, I'm secretly old, everybody.
yeah. It's
Um,
it's definitely like it's definitely different, and I'm sure in time I'm gonna forget about it anyway because it's just gonna become second nature. But
yeah, yeah, like calling the DL the IL.
yeah, kind of
Yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah,
or throwing 4 pitches for an intentional walk.
yeah, that was the
I
thing.
don't really miss that. But not being able to spend as much time at the ballpark feels like a negative consequence
I
for
would
a
agree.
ticket for someone who's paying significant money for a ticket. Why are the tickets the same price?
I promise you, they're not going back down.
I'm just saying, why is the ticket the same price? Like, if I have less time in the ballpark where I want to see things around the ballpark, but I'm going to be missing a lot of game to just go see things around the ballpark. Eh, yeah. Again, if you're watching on TV, this is great. Ends early. If you're a writer, it's great. Games early, I can get this done, written, all good. Let's go. But there is an unintended consequence for the live viewing audience that I don't know how it's going to really work.
Yeah, I guess it just you're gonna have to find your own kind of routine while you're at the ballpark and tinker with that until you find something that works for you.
I guess. Well, we'll see. I haven't gotten a game yet this year, so I'm sure I'll go to at least several. But
PSN night, it's happening.
no, no, we've already established this. June 3rd, we become the left field Schwarbombs.
It is true.
I have the costumes. Oh, for
That he
everybody
does.
else who just heard that, yeah, you'll see. You'll see. You'll see. It's a secret. Anyway, um, yeah, let's just see what happens here. We got more baseball ahead of us, folks.
Yippee!
It could hurt even more. So buckle in and see what the loss counter is next time.